I am shattered after a visit with my in-laws. My husband blames me for their blowout, and my marriage is broken. I can no longer deal with my in-laws. They verbally abused my husband all his life, calling him names, telling him he's a terrible son, etc. I entered the picture, and they have been very abusive towards me as well. They think less of me because I was raised lower middle class, they poke fun at my weight, they basically find anything to criticize. I get major anxiety being around them. For the first 3 years of our relationship, I just dealt with it with a smile on my face. I know his parents are difficult, and I didn't want to fight fire with fire. However, I am very tired of not being treated like an adult, and I finally decided that this isn't the way I want to live my life. Dear husband and I started going to couples therapy, and we have been working on setting boundaries with his parents so we can have some semblance of a relationship with them. Our therapist has helped us understand that there's no changing of abusive people. You can only go no contact or limit the time that you spend with them. Since my dear husband would never consider going no contact, we decided we would try limiting the time we spend with them and on our terms. Thus, for Christmas, we suggested meeting in a third location, not our home or theirs, for a couple of days. This is where all hell broke loose. His mother started berating him. She said that if we didn't go visit them in their hometown like we always have, then we were dead to her. She blamed me for being the one behind this change, and she said some very terrible things about me. This made me super upset, and I asked my husband to rescind the offer to see them this Christmas because I wasn't comfortable after the things that she said. He had a hard time doing this because he claimed he didn't want to hurt his parents. But what about his parents continuing to hurt him? After we talked it out, he finally told his parents that we would not be seeing them for Christmas, but that we could arrange for some time later in the future. It didn't end there. His mother continued to berate him, telling him he would regret choosing me over his own parents, and that she would die soon and she hoped that at least he would help cremate her, amongst other terrible things. His father always acts as the bait. He pretends to be on his side to reel him in, only for both of his parents to attack him again once he's in the same room. This time, the dad came to him with a proposition. He asked my dear husband to spend father-son time in December so they could talk about this man to man, and he apologized for some things he has said. My husband thinks this is his way of understanding that they have done terrible things to him and he's hoping that they can make amends on this father-son trip. However, this trip is making me uncomfortable. I think this is the dad's way of getting me out of the picture so they can try to get into his head about his marriage, life, etc. We just started trying to create healthy boundaries, and I think that if my husband goes, it's saying to them that we are not on a united front. What do you think, Reddit? Am I overreacting? Should my husband go on this trip in December with just his dad? That was the post I posted 4 months ago asking for advice since I was seriously considering going no contact with in-laws after I was done with their abuse. I got a lot of supportive comments, but I couldn't stop thinking about my husband and how it would hurt him if I went no contact. I had irrational feelings like, I will not be there to be the buffer and protect him. One poster suggested I give this another try. After 5 months of therapy, unfortunately, things did not go well. Things went really, really bad. We are long distance with his family, and here is the agreement we set. Stay in a hotel and rent a car. 3 hours max time per day, Saturday and Sunday. I would grab his knee if I ever felt like I was being attacked. Even if he felt I was being irrational, we would leave. No questions asked. It had been 5 months since I had seen them last, and I had a lot of anxiety around this trip because I know their track record. Day 1 goes semi-according to plan. We leave after 3.5 to 4 hours and we go explore the city on our own. It wasn't easy. They kept testing our boundaries, suggesting activities to do that night, being passive-aggressive, etc. But I am proud of dear husband for sticking to the boundary. I was mentally drained after only 4 hours with them because every single thing that comes out of their mouth is abusive. I had even more anxiety for day 2. Day 2 is when all hell breaks loose every single time we visit. It didn't help that dear husband was ecstatic to hang out again, because he had convinced himself that this time would be different. He calls it being positive, but at this point, I call it insanity. Very tough to see that and have him get hurt every time. Immediately after arriving at their home, the passive aggressiveness started. You've already seen everything there is to see. I don't really know where else to take you. Long face. God forbid we explore a new town on our own. At this point we decided we would drive to the hilly part of town, and find a place to have lunch. They asked that we all, 5 grown adults, ride in their tiny car with no legroom. Given that A. I like to be comfortable. B. More importantly, I wanted to have a car in case all hell broke loose, dear husband and I could leave. Ladies and gentlemen, this is when all cool was lost. His mom threatened not to go if we didn't do as she said. The sibling was pretending like she was not bothered by this, good cop, but was evident this was not the case due to the passive aggressiveness. Dad, the enabler, in a zen way tried to convince us that we should do as they say. Dear husband looked at me at this point and asked if this would be possible. I said absolutely not. Hell, we were even inviting 1 or 2 to ride with us. We stuck to the plan of us driving, but we were the worst human beings for doing so. Dear husband's parents sat in the back seat and berated us for 45 minutes. She told dear husband that she didn't want him to visit, and he should have never come. Mother-in-law's daughter is more important and mother-in-law does everything for her. We don't like them and we kick them out of our house. ABUSE. I sat in the car and kept giving dear husband the signal. He kept ignoring me. Instead, he got angry, he fought back, then justified, he defended, he explained. One giant roller coaster. Meanwhile, I kept saying, I am done. Nothing. I could feel the anger piling on. Dear husband kept giving in to their demands. We ate with them as they wanted, we went back to their house as they wanted, etc. And this is where I become the bad guy apparently. I do not believe I am the bad guy. This is what dear husband has told me. We get back to their house because dear husband wanted to say goodbye to his niece. She's sleeping, we stare at her, and walk back downstairs. At this point the family is calmer, but in typical fashion, they continue to criticize even though they know we are leaving. I don't think they thought we would actually do it. We were told we had to use one particular software to file our taxes versus the other because they know it's the best. After about 5 minutes of this petty, controlling conversation, I lost it. I completely lost it, and I am not proud of myself. I used a lot of cuss words and told them to shut up and leave dear husband alone. Mother-in-law yelled back and told me to give them all their money back. I told her she had not given me crap. I am pretty sure dear husband thought I was going to kill them, so this is the reason we walked out. Father-in-law runs out after us, and in typical enabler fashion, tells us we need to cool off and go on a walk with him. Dear husband once again requests for this to happen. I say absolutely not. He would not let us leave and I closed the window on him. I feel really bad about this. Dear husband rolled it down and told him we would be back. We leave and I am concerned with dear husband's well-being and put my feelings of feeling betrayed aside. All until his family sends a request saying they are at the airport and want to meet so we can have a proper goodbye. Dear husband proceeds to tell me this, and I tell him hell no. On the flight back home I am told it is my fault. If I hadn't suggested taking 2 cars, this wouldn't have happened. His parents are old and he may never see them again. He cannot believe that I did not allow him to say goodbye to them. You can probably imagine how I feel right now. Disrespected, betrayed, abused, broken, I could go on. I don't know how I can come back from this. How can I trust him again if he allowed me to be abused? He abused me himself by telling me I had done something wrong. At this point, it's not a matter of no contact, it's a matter of trying to figure out if I can make my marriage work. And if I went no contact, would it even work? I think he would always be resentful of me not trying to make peace. How can I make my husband understand I am not the bad guy? Edit. We have been going to couples therapy. I went to individual therapy but I felt like she was leaning me towards no contact and it makes me uncomfortable because I thought it went against what dear husband and I were working on in couples therapy. I now understand why no contact was the suggestion. Mother-in-law tried to ruin my relationship and now can't stand no contact. This sub has been a godsend since dear husband and I got serious. It's a long story with twists and turns and times where it honestly didn't look like we'd be together after all. But we made it. The only issue is his family has caused me a lot of pain and heartbreak along the way. Dear husband, 24 male, and I, 26 female, met while away at school, and so our families didn't get a lot of interaction with us together. I met his mother for the first time when she visited to help him along with his mental health. He needed antidepressants and couldn't get it from local healthcare, and thus his mom brought it to him. This meeting didn't go overly well, and the gist is, she was glad her son and I are friends, but we're never gonna be together. We were broken up at the time. Fast forward a few months and my then just friends, future dear husband, moves away and realizes just how much he loves me and regrets us breaking up, etc. I love this man with literally everything I've got, so of course I cave when it comes to getting back together. I tell him, though, it ends one of two ways and he gets to decide which. Way 1. You put a ring on my finger, we get married, and I will be your wife. Period. Way 2. We break up again and I completely cut you out of my life, never to speak to you again. He agrees and we get back together. I go back to school and he's still out 4 hours away from his parents' home continuing his own schooling. Little did I realize he'd been planning on proposing the next time we got to see each other. He'd started saving for a ring and shopping around, etc. Well, my dear husband, being the patient man he is, decides he cannot wait and proposes to me in the absolute sweetest speech over FaceTime, and that was that. I said yes. We were happy and we were engaged. My family was thrilled. His family was excited but very hesitant. He doesn't talk to them much, and us being away, they didn't really know me. Which I get. We start planning a 2020 wedding, which gives 1.5 years notice for everyone. Fast forward again to about a year out from our wedding date. Mother-in-law calls me saying none of his family can afford to come to the wedding, etc. I'm of course insulted. Seriously? You all have over a year still to save and I'm from a small town where things are dirt cheap. What the F? I don't know what to do. Father-in-law is in concerning health, so my just yes mom suggests we move the wedding there instead, and do a smaller ceremony when our original bridal shower would have been, and my family will cover all additional costs. Well, dear husband family flips out. I start getting very cruel messages about how I'm a thoughtless little girl and don't know anything about commitment, etc. I bite my tongue trying to keep the peace. Dear husband sticks up for me and defends me very well. The kicker comes when his mother sends an awful message attacking me and my character to my mom, me, and all of dear husband's friends. She claims the entire family has proofread it and agrees. This is the last straw for me, and I tell dear husband I can't do it anymore. He can decide not to marry me or whatever he wants, but I will not be spoken to in that manner. We eventually have a Skype call with dear husband, myself, and his parents, where I was trying to let him handle the majority of things because I can be hot-headed when I'm upset. He knew this and was doing really well. However, his parents kept bullying me to talk, and, what? Can she not speak for herself, etc., comments kept coming up. Finally, I blew my gasket, which is exactly what they wanted, as they started attacking me again and I blew up. Since dear husband and I were only planning a big wedding for our families and his was no longer going to be in attendance, we got married shortly after in a small ceremony at my just yes parents' house and recorded the ceremony for his family to watch in case they changed their mind, etc. During this time, his parents tried to guilt him that they would have come, etc., had they known. They knew we were getting married and knew our exact reception date and still didn't show up for that either. Mother-in-law has since realized how badly she messed up, since dear husband barely talks with them and I've gone no contact. She has reached out a few times, but every time I see her contact pop up on my phone I have a panic attack. I have abandonment PTSD from childhood trauma as well as some other baggage this has dug up, and I'm just unsure how to deal with it all. I know what she did was really messed up. She tried to play her hand and realized she was the only one at the table, and playing alone is pretty lonely. Has anyone had anything similar and moved past it? How do I move on from here? I don't see no contact being a sustainable end right now, as dear husband still really wants his family involved in our lives but respects my boundaries. How do I come to a healthy middle ground for both of us? She won. My husband broke up with me and I'm pregnant. My 24 female husband, 26 male, and I met when he was studying in my country. We were classmates. We started dating 5 years ago and we got married 6 months ago in his country, where we currently live together. Before we got married I traveled with him to his country to meet his mom, We've traveled approximately 4 times to his country, and it's not a secret that she hates me, she's racist. The first time she saw me she said, "Why is your skin so pale? Aren't you from Latin America?" And sometimes she mocked my accent. I don't speak English very fluently yet. My husband and I always speak in Spanish, since he learned that language when he went to study in my country. Since we moved to this country she has not stopped saying horrible things about me, such as, "You just married my son to get the green card," and my husband responded with, "Mom, stop saying that or I'll leave," and she stopped. But lately, she has been ill and my husband spends a lot of time at her home, she leaves alone, and in just a few weeks he changed a lot. Now he speaks exactly like his mom. The other day we had a fight and he yelled at me, "I'm tired of you. This is over." Then he accused me that I was using him to get my green card, the same words his mother said, and when I started crying he left the apartment. I don't know what to do. His mom ruined everything we built in 5 years of relationship, and the worst part is that he let her do that. And to top it all off, I'm 15 weeks pregnant but I haven't told him anything yet. I'm very thin and my belly already shows, and I don't know how to hide it from my husband. Today in the morning his mother called me and said, "In a few days dear husband, lawyers will contact you and you will go back to where you belong. If we fill the divorce papers I will have to go back to my country, and I don't want to do it." My husband came to our apartment to take some of his things and he looked so miserable. He hugged me and told me he was sorry but he left anyway. Now I don't know what to do. Update 1. First of all, thanks for all the comments on my first post. They really helped me. Thanks. The other night my husband came back to our apartment and decided to stay here. He apologized 100 times but I didn't talk to him until yesterday, but I didn't tell him I'm pregnant yet. He told me that he had a fight with his mom because she refuses to go to the doctor. She wants him to be at her home taking care of her all day, but he has a job and a whole life to worry about. He didn't talk to her again since he came back because he says that she was stressing him with her supposed illness. He thinks she's not really ill. I think the same, by the way. We were having dinner yesterday and she called him crying because she had fallen in the shower. He went to her house as fast as he could and surprisingly she was perfectly fine. I swear I'm so tired of her and I know that my husband is also tired. He is her only child and he has all the burden on his shoulders. And now he, without knowing my plans to go back to my country, told me that he wants us to go back to my home country because he misses the life we had there, but I don't know if he's being honest or acting this way because he suspects I'm pregnant. Because yesterday, when he arrived from his mom's house, I woke up and he was rubbing my belly in such a sweet way that for a moment I melted. He looked at me with a big smile on his face and asked me, "Do you have something to tell me?" Now I don't know if I should trust him, because he is very weak when he is close to his mom, and I'm scared that if I tell him that I'm pregnant he will tell his mom and she will ruin this unique experience in our lives. Edit. Sorry if I didn't explain myself right, but my belly already shows and my husband has known me for 5 years. He knows that I'm a very thin person and of course the moment he saw me he figured out that there is something different in my body, because, please don't judge me for that, I slept with him the other night so it's pretty obvious that he knows that now I have a belly and it is not thanks to food. Update 2. I posted here a month ago and I couldn't post an update because I was really busy. I'm in my home country now. I came back before Christmas and my husband traveled a few days after New Year's Eve because he quit his job and had issues to solve. We are working to make our relationship work as before, and we are doing well now and we are really excited because last Friday I had an appointment with my obstetrician and he confirmed that we are expecting a healthy little girl. Fortunately, we haven't heard from his mother since the night she fell in the shower. My husband didn't go to her house again and blocked her phone number. I think that what clicked on his head was that she rejected our baby even knowing he was excited to have one. That night he told her that he was sure that I was pregnant and they had a fight when she told him she doesn't want him to ruin his life with a child now. Basically, she is mad because I am the one who carries that child. She even had the nerve to send me a message saying that I should get rid of that baby because her son is too young to be a dad. It seems that she forgot that her son turned 27 this month and that he is no longer a kid. And the day after I woke up with my husband rubbing my belly I tried to deny my pregnancy and he told me he knew about the baby, that he knew from the night he returned to our apartment. Which was obvious because I had so many symptoms and my belly was already noticeable. Also, a few days after his return, as I said in my previous post, we made love. I know I was really dumb and I shouldn't have done that, and of course he knew there was something different in my body. We've been together for 5 years, he knows my body as much as I do. So I told him the truth. I even told him my travel plans and he tried to convince me to stay, but I ignored him, and we both ended up in my country. We don't want to go back to his country for now. We are happy here and we want to raise our daughter here. By the way, thanks to the people who sent me messages asking me if I was okay. I really appreciate it.